As the sun set in the east, the ruined walls began to cast shadows on the ground, and the mysterious drawings on the walls transformed into writing on the ground. The 10,000 spirit wall had been built by the first sect leader and contained all of his knowledge. 4 generations later, Jin Kwangho acquired the secret. For this reason, during his childhood, instead of training his son in martial arts, his father taught him the language of the kingdom of the lower moon, in which the greatest scroll was written. To everyone else, these appeared to be just old engravings on the walls, because everything was planned in such a way that only Muan could read them. Consequently, it might seem to uninvited guests that he was simply wasting his time standing on the roof of the building. Jin Muan himself hoped that the guards would continue to think so. All the teachings of the previous leaders of the clan were on these walls, and the young master had a long way to go before he mastered the last scroll of martial arts. Being under the supervision of the Central Heavenly Alliance, he could not attract too much attention to himself, so he kept everything a secret and patiently waited for the chance. At one point, while on the roof, the young master noticed a carriage beginning to approach their palace. It was Mr. Hang, whom he had been waiting for so long. An old man named Hang Chul, a former member of the Northern Heavenly Clan, had begun working as a traveling merchant after leaving the clan, and did everything he could to help Jin Muan. His gaze was filled with love, and he addressed the young master, who had a difficult fate as such. Hang Chul himself was an orphan with no talent for martial arts. While the other clans refused him, the Northern Heavenly Clan accepted him. Sect leader Jin Kwangho did everything to teach him the basics so that he could at least defend himself. Hang Chul never forgot this kindness, so when everyone else left the clan, he was the only one who continued to do everything to help the heir of his savior. He visited the young master every time he had the opportunity. Jin Muan greeted the person most dear to him with a sincere smile. He thanked the man for coming all the way to see him. During their conversation, the concerned man saw that the young master's hand was wounded and assumed that the new guards had done it. After this remark, the young master hid his hands behind his back and began to awkwardly make excuses, saying it was not them and that he had accidentally injured his finger himself, which was not worth worrying about. To change the subject and not make the man worry, he drew attention to the contents of the cart and said that Mr. Hang should not bother himself and bring so many things for him. Although Muan wanted Mr. Hang to start living for himself, the man replied that he continued to try because his heart ached that the young master of the clan who saved his life should suffer like that. The old man's care was the most pleasant moment of the young master's life. Hang not only brought him food and medicine, but also a very expensive thick winter blanket. At one point, the young master noticed some kind of stone and asked what it was. The man replied that he had received it while he was in Yunnan. According to him, this stone fell from the sky, and the whole tribe worshipped it as a deity. With a restless look and sadness, he said that the tribe had been exterminated, and therefore the stone no longer belonged to anyone. Hearing this, the young master was simply shocked that there was someone in Moram who could commit such an atrocity. According to the old man, their habitat looked as if they were fighting the Broken Fist clan, powerless at that moment. Master Muan could only store up his anger at those who were destroying Moram from within, starting with his father's clan. As it turned out, having destroyed the tribe, the clan of the Broken Fist decided to set battle in Yunnan. After the betrayal of the Northern Heavenly Clan, each of the Great Four founded their own clan within Moram. Yongchan Ha, known as the Cursed Ghostblade, gathered an elite group of sword key users and settled in the west. They became known as the Protectors of the Western Skies. Kun Musang, known as the Raging Hurricane, gathered a group of people calling themselves the Fluttering Skies, but they did not act. The Lord of the Iron Blood, Jai Shim, having received the greatest combat power, built the Iron Castle in the north. And the Demon Fist, Zhou Chen Wu, who was known for his cruel and vicious nature, created that very bloodthirsty group called the Broken Fists. Looking at the young master, Muan realized that he had become self-absorbed because of what was happening in the world without his father. To cheer up the young master a little, the man cheerfully said that since Muan had taken up blacksmithing, he decided to bring some iron for him. With a smile on his face, the young master thanked the man and promised that he would use it wisely. It was already snowing outside and starting to get cold, so the young master invited his truly dear guest to come inside. At the same moment, the deputy captain was watching them. He did not notice anything unusual about the guest of the owner of this palace, but was pleasantly impressed by his loyalty to the Northern Heavenly Clan. Moreover, he really felt sorry for Jin Muan, seeing him walking around aimlessly, wasting time in the forge, climbing to the top of the tower, and looking at the sky. The man did not feel his chi energy and could not be afraid. Simusan was sure that the young master had nothing left but to exist because it was his duty to his father. Remembering their recent pastime, the man believed that the young master's words were a bluff, but if he clarified his story, it would seem more plausible. What also saddened him was that the young master made quite wise decisions for his age, and if he had learned his father's martial arts, he would have become a strong leader. His calm was interrupted by the appearance of a messenger hawk from the capital. After reading the letter, the captain was furious because they had sent some respected guests to a place that was hardly full of attractions. When Chung cooled down a little, he ordered his soldiers to begin restoring one of the royal buildings to receive people. The deputy uneasily accepted the order and began to assign the soldiers to different tasks. All the things that Master Hang brought were taken into the small room of the young leader of the Northern Heavenly Clan. The young master, as usual, treated the old man to excellent tea and asked what the situation was in the world. The man replied that all the talk at this moment was about a martial artist named Dam So-jong. He had become famous in Miram and declared that he would fight and defeat 100 martial artists. Such a bright personality interested the young master, and he wanted to find out more about what other rumors were circulating. Dam So-jong is the third son of the invincible master, Dam Chak-shim, one of the 9 heavens. At first, people made fun of him and didn't take him seriously. He had only turned 18, but every time he challenged someone, he left chaos and destruction in his wake. Now he had about 93 victories in a row, and he inspired only fear and respect among the residents of Moram. According to Hang, at this rate, that young man would become a legend in the Moram world. He also shared rumors that he was heading north, and many clans were on edge due to this news. Jin Muan said that he thought that young warrior was amazing. After a pleasant tea, Jin Muan tried to convince his dear guest to stay for a rest, but he could not afford it. As he left, he told the young master that he would return after the winter. He had done so much for the young master that he continued to thank him for the honor of seeing him at least once. Master Hang moved on while his master continued to look after him longingly. Walking through his palace during a snowfall, the young master noticed one of the masters of the guard group approaching him. It was the deputy captain, and he addressed the young master with respect, calling him Mr. Jin. He said that an important guest from the Central Heavenly Alliance was going to visit them in the spring, and for this, they would like to restore and use the Wan Palace. The young master calmly replied that they could do what they wanted since the building had been empty for a long time anyway. Jin Muan did not want to continue this useless conversation and said goodbye. While walking around the palace, he noticed that someone was going inside their library. The young master decided to check what was inside when he suddenly noticed strange traces. At one point, someone suddenly attacked him from behind and put a knife to his neck. A female voice unknown to him asked who he was. The young master calmly replied that she should ask this question. Bringing the knife closer, the girl convincingly asked for an answer, saying that she had asked first. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the young master said that he was the owner of this place. The girl was surprised and asked if he claimed to be the heir of the Northern Heavenly Clan, but after he answered, silence began. She was interrupted by the sound of a knife falling onto the stone floor. After that, the young master heard a body fall to the ground and immediately looked around. It turned out that a seriously wounded girl had sneaked into his library and had just lost consciousness.